What if I told you that most debt collectors are violating the law and you can catch them yourself with the right audit process? In this video, I'll show you how to audit your own debt file, uncover legal violations, and use those mistakes to challenge the debt, negotiate leverage, and even sue for damages. Now, I've studied consumer protection laws. I've studied credit reporting tactics and debt collection practices, and I'm here to show you how to flip the power using their own paperwork. Now, before we dive into this video, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. Do your due diligence. All my rights are reserved. This is only for educational purposes only. Also, remember to hit the like button. Okay, when you hit the like button, you actually help the algorithm push out content like this. For those of you guys that have questions about certain things, if you want to help your fellow subscribers, you want to help your fellow community, like this video so they can see this video, okay? You want to properly discharge debt. You want to properly challenge debt collectors. In this video, I'm going to break down how to audit your own debt file for those violations, okay? When I sue them, how do I know what to sue them for? This is the video for that. You dig me? So make sure you stay all the way to the end, because we're going to be talking about why the auditing process matters. We're going to talk about the different violations, the different laws that back it up, and where the legal merit is when challenging debt collectors. If you got a debt collection letter, if you have a debt collector on your back, this is the video for you. All right. Also, if you're brand new, hit the subscribe button. All right. 99% of the people that watch my videos do not subscribe. So if you've been around, you watched a couple of videos, hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Now, let's dive into this. So let's talk about the aspect of why auditing your debt matters. Okay. Most debt collectors violate the federal law during collections because of the many disclosures and the many documentary evidence that they are missing. Okay. So one of the things that they miss is the original contracts. One of the easiest things to ask them for that you know they don't have is the original contract, okay? The original contract, not a photocopy. I need the wet ink signature, okay? And if it comes to court, I want you to produce the original one, not a photocopy, okay? Come with the actual note. You understand me? So that's number one. Number two, proof of assignment, all right? A proof of assignment should literally be an affidavit that shows that the original creditor or bank signed the debt to them, okay? So another thing that they don't give is accurate balances, okay? They will add fees. So they must itemize any and everything that they claim you owe and break down what each number means. And then the proper disclosures, okay? Not only the original contract, proof of assignment, accurate balances, but the disclosures that are entitled to you in the lending process. Okay, you can look under the Truth in Lending Act. You can look under the FDCPA, but anything you demand of in terms of accounting, you want to know anything and everything about this debt, you know, disclosures that are entitled to you. These are the things that they must provide in order for them to validate the debt. So it's multiple letters, multiple forms, and it's not even just the loan agreement, okay? Number one, that loan agreement has to be a certified copy, okay? Number two, that proof of assignment is literally the creditor saying, hey, we assign this debt to this person, not them buy the debt, okay? The accurate balances, the itemizations, and also the documentary evidence that pertains to the debt, that connects you to the debt, they should be providing this. Now, you can't fight what you haven't investigated yourself, okay? So this is why you ask them for these things. This is why you go through the debt validation process, so you can do your own investigation, okay? You can't just go based off of, well, they bought my debt, like things that you know, but you don't go through that proper investigation, okay? So when you do this, an audit shows you exactly what to challenge and how to document it, okay? If they are sloppy, they are liable. And it's literally that simple, okay? When you call them out on their sloppiness, when you use that to your advantage, they are no longer powerful, okay? And you are no longer powerless. You dig me? I hope you guys gathered that. Now, here are the laws you are auditing for, okay? Number one, The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act under 15 U.S.C. 1692 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. You know what I mean? Under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is essentially breaking down how a debt collector should practice collection, okay? And they're going to do things like, they're going to miss a lot of things. Very simple: acquisition of location. Well, let's just go to the congressional findings real quick. There's an abundant evidence of use of abusive, deceptive, and unfair debt collection practices by many debt collectors. Abusive debt collection practices contribute to the number of personal bankruptcies, to marital instability, to the loss of jobs, and to invasions of individuals' privacy. This is a grave injury to one. Okay? So it says existing laws and procedures for redressing these injuries are inadequate to protect consumers. Okay, means other than misrepresentation or other abusive debt collection practices are available for the effective collection of debts. Abusive debt collection practices are carried on to a substantial extent in interstate commerce and through means and instrumentalities of such commerce. Okay. The purpose of this subchapter is to eliminate abusive debt collection practices by debt collectors to ensure that debt collectors who refrain from using abusive debt collection practices are not competitively disadvantaged, and to promote consistent state action to protect consumers against debt collection. So, one key violation is acquisition of location information. Okay? One of the things that a debt collector, or we'll just say the creditor, they should not give your information to somebody without your consent. All right? Acquisition of location information, that is private. So if somebody else has your information that is not contracted with you, that you never consented to give your information to, they are in violation of 15 U.S.C. 1692B. Then we could talk about the communication. If they F up any communication as regards to a debt collection, because this breaks down how they should communicate with you, all right? If you take a look and take a gander at this section here, it tells you how they should communicate. So if they mess up any of the communication process, whether they didn't write it in written form, whether they call you at an unusual time, whether they are, just not doing things properly as it pertains to 15 U.S.C. 1692C, that is also a violation. Then we dive into harassment and abuse. Harassment and abuse could be the use of threat or the use of violence, criminal means to harm the physical person's reputation or property easily. Reputation is on your credit report. The use of obscene or profane language, or language the natural consequence of which to abuse the hearer or reader. Saying things like you're doing fraudulent things, saying things that defame your character, okay, it's considered profane. All right. The publication of a list of consumers who allegedly refuse to pay debts. So they can't publicize a person who doesn't pay their debt. Okay? The advertisement for sale of any debt to coerce payment of the debts. Okay? I spoke to a debt collector that said that they was going to, before this goes to a law office. I said, hey, my baby, send me a letter. Send me a letter of that documentation. As a matter of fact, give me your address and we'll make sure to send you a letter. Okay? Causing the telephone to ring or engaging any person in a telephone conversation repeatedly or continuously with the intent to annoy, abuse, or harass any person at that called number. All right? The placement of telephone calls without meaningful disclosure of the caller's identity. Okay? Then we dive into false and misleading representations. Long story short, a debt collector may not use any false, deceptive, or misleading representation in means in connection with collection of the debt without limiting general applications of the foregoing and following conduct is a violation of this subsection. Long story short, they must produce the right character, the amount, and the legal status of any debt. Okay? Part of you asking for specific information, if they do not provide it to you, if they omit it, if they lie about it, that right there is a violation in itself. If they give you misinformation, that is a violation in itself. Okay? Then we dive into unfair practices. The collection of any amount, including any interest, fees, charged, expense, incidental to the principal obligation, unless such amount is expressly authorized by agreement, creating the debt or permitted by law. So if they add on fees and things in that nature, that is considered unfair. Okay? Just for time's sakes, I'm just going to go through these relatively quickly. Validation of debt. This is your right under the Constitution to validate debts. If they ignore this, then that's a violation within itself. Then we talk about multiple debts. If any consumer owns multiple debts and makes a single payment to any debt collector with respect to such debts, and such debt collector may not apply such payment to any debt which is disputed by the consumer, where applicable shall apply such payment in accordance with the consumer's directions. Okay, so I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Okay. Legal actions by debt collectors, furnishing deceptive forms, civil liability, which is super key because essentially it's just breaking down how much each violation is worth. Okay, so that's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and there's many different violations, and we're going to talk about what to look for. But let's just get through the other laws. They also can violate the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay, so if they report information while you're disputing it under the FDCPA, that is a direct violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. When you challenge the Fair Credit Reporting Act and you are, challenging your privacy, your right to privacy and things in that nature, you dispute it. If you are disputing it, then they must comply to remove or block that information that you are disputing. Okay, that's under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I'm going to go through these fast. Then under the Truth in Lending Act, the Truth in Lending Act has disclosure guidelines. They must provide all the disclosures as it pertains to your loan or whatever the case may be, your consumer credit contract, especially if it's connected with a debt collector. And then we can dive into UCC 3-305, which is defenses and claims and recoupment. Long story short, if they violate any of these laws, you have a right to essentially challenge them and defend yourself against them. So if they ever try to make you think that, oh, they are the ones who have the power, you have to pay this debt, just challenge them on these things. And when you challenge them on these things, well, I just want you to know that you have a right to challenge any debt collector. Before we dive into some of the things to look for. Now, some of the things to look for is no written contract. If they can't provide a written contract between you and them, then they are not validating the debt. If there is no debt validation, okay, if there's errors in the balance, if it's improper credit reporting, if it's harassment or misleading notices, if it's attempting to collect after a charge off or a 1099-C issuance. These are the things that you're going to ask for in your debt validation letter. These are the things that you're going to ask for in your conditional acceptance. These are the things you're going to highlight in the affidavit of truth. Because when you start to highlight these things, you start to ask them for these things, it shifts the burden of proof onto them to actually start to provide the proofs, the validation. And we go over this, and I try to put some element of this in each of my videos because some of us just go to the videos that we want to see. All right. So me saying this is so that it gets etched in your brain that what we are doing is not just about a particular type of negotiable instrument. It's about the negotiation process and really shifting the finger onto them to provide proof that they are who they say they are, meaning someone that you owe. All right. So now let's just break down how to audit a debt file. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and pull your credit reports from all three bureaus. Now you can go to free credit report online, but what I would suggest you do is to go and tap into the link down below. You can get your credit for 7 days. I believe it's only $1. All right. With Smart Credit, you can get your full 3 bureaus for 7 days. Go ahead and tap in down below. Okay. It's in the description. That's going to give you a host of your credit file. As a matter of fact, give me 1 second. So you can head over to Smart Credit down below. The link is in the description. You can get signed up for only $1 and you'll be able to have access for 7 days. Okay, after the 7 days, it's going to go ahead and charge, so you can try it out, see if you like it. But I'll just show you a direct example of what it's going to look like once you get started. So as soon as you create your account and you log in, you're going to be able to see this screen. I'll do a separate video on this, but you can be able to pull your reports. Now, this isn't my account. All right, this is just for example purposes. But as soon as you do that, you can come here and get your 3 bureau reports. All right, you'll be able to see all 3. you'll be able to not only be able to see like what negative accounts you have and things of that nature, but you'll also be able to switch to a classic view, and you can be able to see exactly what's on your credit report, the information. And long story short, this is a great tool to have if you want to make sure you are building and taking the right steps towards fixing your credit. You'll be able to see those derogatory accounts. You're going to be able to see if they're charged off. You're going to be able to see if they are disputed or in the dispute process, you know. And I recommend anybody who is going through this process to tap into any credit monitoring service, but specifically, in my opinion, the best one out there is Smart Credit. Okay. It's just so many features, not only from the aspect of you pulling your report, but they got a money manager, they got fraud protection, where you get 1 million of identity fraud insurance, and many other things that you can be able to access. Now, I'll save this for a separate video when I break this down, even the aspect of you tracking your score and seeing the different changes and things of that nature. I believe that anybody who is looking to build their credit should tap into Smart Credit. The link will be in the description. Now that we got that covered, go ahead and make sure you go to all the debt collectors that are on your credit report, and you want to make sure you check to see if they sent you any letters. Did they send you a debt validation letter? If they are reporting this, then you should have gotten a letter from the debt collector. If you didn't, then you want to gather all their addresses and their information, and you want to put together your own debt validation letter and ask them for the original contract, the full accounting, the chain of assignment, all the things that are in the debt validation letter. Anything that's on your credit report, go ahead and send them a debt validation letter. All right. This is the start to get them to start violating your rights, okay? Whether they're not, when they don't give you that information, when they ignore you, this is how you're going to make sure to challenge them, okay? So step 2, you want to make sure to compare those inconsistencies, all right? You want to check dates, balances, and account numbers and make sure that they are aligned. If they are inconsistent, then that is a violation. You want to look for missing disclosures, account transfers, or name mismatches. This is something that's also violation as well. And you want to confirm if it was charged off or sold. As easy as you going on smartcredit.com, looking at that account, and if it says it's in a charge off status, then it's pretty much like a kid in a candy factory, if I said that right. A kid in a candy factory. And then when you go through this, you want to make sure to log each violation. You want to create what's called a remedy file. In that remedy file, you're going to have a cover letter. You're going to have a notice of violations. You're going to have a demand for remedy, affidavit of truth, notice to cease and desist communication, and a exhibit list for any of the documents that you have submitted, okay, or going to submit in court. Some of the things that you're going to put in terms of their violation is failure to validate debt after request under 15 U.S.C. 1692G. You're going to put things like continuing collection activity without providing verification, reporting unverifiable data to the credit bureaus, which violates 15 U.S.C. 1681 S-2, harassment and misrepresentation in collection attempts, and failure to cease communications after lawful cease and desist requests. Okay, you want to put these things, and then you also want to put what type of remedy you want. You want to be very clear. I want immediate cessation of collection activities, full debt validation, including original contract with wet ink signature, itemized breakdown, and all assignments. You're going to put immediate removal of all negative information from any credit reporting agency to which you have reported, and a signed and notarized affidavit from your agency confirming that this alleged account has been discharged, released, or recalled. Okay? When you're very specific and you tell them exactly what you need them to do and want them to do, then they will, it's no choice for them to either do it or leave you alone. Okay? And if they don't do it, they decide to put more negative items on your credit report, then you're going to use this as evidence in court in case you want to sue them. All right. Now, if you decide to sue them, you can go pro se, but I will always recommend, depending on how much you sue them for, you may need to get legal representation. I also tell people to connect with a legal aid. I am talking about this stuff and giving you guys this education, but still do your due diligence, still be willing to reach out to those proper people. But before you reach out to those people, you want to make sure that you already have your argument and your case solved before you go to a consumer protection lawyer or anything like that. Because I wouldn't want you to get finessed. I wouldn't want you to go there and they tell you, oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, no, here's my documents right here. I already have done this process. You don't have anything to do but to go in court and represent me and make sure that we are arguing this properly. All right. Now, when it comes to attorneys, if they represent you, they may take all the awardings and make sure that the stuff gets all your credit report. But either way, if you don't know how to do this and you don't have the money to pay them up front, then, I would just make sure that you ensure your win before going to somebody. Okay. So you want to make sure to log each contact. You want to make sure to log each mistake or violation that they have done. You want to make sure to take screenshots, save envelopes, and log the call times. Okay. You want to make sure you do your own forensic analysis. You want to make sure that you have all the evidence that you need in order to challenge the debt collector. All right. You don't want to miss anything. Take whatever you get from them serious. Don't just at the last minute, well, they kept ignoring me. Well, if you just document this stuff, you know exactly when they reached out to you, you know exactly what you said. And that is the only thing that you have to express to the judge, because the violations are there within itself. And if you know the violations, you take the time to look at the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and you understand what these violations mean, what you should expect, then all it is just a conversation with the judge. Okay, they didn't provide X, Y, and Z, and this is why I'm maneuvering the way I'm maneuvering. Until they provide it, then I get it. But they haven't been able to provide it. All right. Every inconsistency is an opportunity either to dispute or leverage. So you want to catch them on their inconsistency. If they miss one thing, then everything that they are doing is invalid. Do you guys understand that? It's not, oh, we have this and this and this, but we don't have this. That doesn't fly. Okay? So here's what to do with those violations. We'll get through this quick because we're getting to that 30-minute mark. All right? You want to file a dispute with the credit bureaus, providing the evidence of your debt validation. You want to challenge collections with the debt validation letter. You want to send a conditional acceptance to the debt company or the debt collection company. And as an added bonus, you can file with the CFPB, the FTC, the State Attorney General, and consider a lawsuit under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Common violations, 1,000 plus, and damages under the FDCPA. And long story short, if they break the rules, then you get to rewrite the narrative. Okay, look, you aren't coming after me for the debt. Now I'm coming after you for the proof. I'm coming after you for the legal standing. I'm coming after you on the premise of you doing your duty as a debt collector, and if you're moving fairly. All right. Here's some advanced audit power moves, okay? You can ask them, hey, did you file a 1099-C? Okay? A 1099-C is literally evidence of discharge, so if it's discharged, then they cannot double collect. Another question, are you the holder in due course? It's a yes or no question, okay? What consideration was given? It's very simple. Did you risk your money? Did we exchange anything? Just because you bought my information from a debt collector or from the creditor, quote unquote, doesn't mean that you have exchanged anything with me. You can cross-reference those IRS forms, okay? You can cross-reference trust law, especially if you're communicating via a trust. You can cross-reference the debt sale contracts or the OIA or subpoena in court, okay? And bonus, you use your audit file in small claims court, private arbitration, or any trust-based discharge. Okay? This is what the evidence is for. This is why we audit this stuff. This is why we document this stuff. Okay? Don't just send letters backed by evidence. Okay? If you maneuver in the aspect of you attempting to gather evidence and not in the evidence of, I'm just going to send letters just on a hope. Move with a purpose. Move with intention. Okay? It's my intention to get the evidence. All right? So this is how you're going to audit your file. Okay? Grab your credit report down below. Smart Credit link is right there. Okay? You can get your credit report for $1 and test out the service. And this will be super key to your credit report process, because there's no point of validating debt. There's no point of discharging debt that's not on your credit report. If it's not on your credit report, you really just, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't tell you not to send them a debt validation letter to anybody, but check your credit reports. Check all three. Sometimes it's just on one credit report and not on all. All right? Because we need to get these things off our credit report, not just do it for the heck of it. And if you have good credit, then, you know, take advantage of the good credit before you start discharging this, that, and the third, because your credit score may tank or your relationships may drop because you're deciding to go through this method. They're going to do things like tack on negative items on your credit report. And no, they're not supposed to do that, but they're going to do it anyway until you exercise your rights to enforce the law onto them. Okay? So auditing your debt files turns the flashlight on collectors. Once you see the paperwork for what it is, you'll never be intimidated again. Once you start to challenge them, once you start sending these letters and you realize that they are the ones who get frozen, they are the ones who have a hard time responding, they are the ones who are now in a place that you used to be at when you see a debt collection letter where you freeze up and it's like, damn, I owed them $1,000, I owed them $2,000, I owed them $3,000. I don't have it. That's how they're going to feel when you say, oh, well, listen, my baby, give me the proof. Now their heart is going to drop because they know they don't have it. They know that they got it in an undercut way. So all you got to do is find that mishap, find that misconduct, find the inconsistencies. And once you find that inconsistency, no matter if you owe the debt, okay? No matter if you owe the debt, if they are inconsistent and they're not maneuvering properly, then it doesn't matter. So make sure you guys stay consistent. Make sure you guys stay educated. Make sure you guys tap into the FDCPA, the FCRA, and look at this stuff for yourself. Get comfortable with the information. All right. Tap in with Smart Credit down below. Okay. Get it for $1. On top of that, if you want to learn and get that remedy file, you want to get those templates and things in that nature, debt file audit checklist, violation tracker, tap in with the Complete Debt Guide. I will upload those today. Number 2, if you want to apply to the mentorship so that you can be able to not only build your credit, fix your credit, but also at the same time get to 6 figures in funding for your business, tap into the one-on-one mentorship and apply to work with me. Okay. Obviously, if you do hop on the phone, be ready to invest in yourself. Okay. This is a private coaching experience and I only take serious people. Also, for my people who own a credit repair company and they're looking to actually grow and scale that, also go ahead and apply to that mentorship too. I do have some slots open for my credit repair business mentorship. Number 3, follow me on Instagram for daily breakdowns in laws, letters, and power tactics. If you want to learn more, tap in with biz.nick. Also tap in with my Twitch at BizNick. Then all those links will be down in the description. Okay, so my last thing is, have you ever found something off in your collection notice? Let me know in the comment section. If you gotten all the way this far, you are a real one. Comment the word discharge. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, because once you know what to do, nobody can take advantage of you. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.